Hey guys, welcome back to another Titus Diorama ToyReviews. And in today's video, well, I'm going to do something a little different and I'm going to show you how to create some storage trays out of foam core. So let's get to it. So guys, as you can see here, I do have a storage tray already set up and I'm making them for my action figures. This one was kind of my prototype one. I wanted to test it out and I'm actually going to make a few more of these, I should say, not a bit more. I'm going to make a few more of these. And I'm actually going to be storing them into one of the cubbies on the Kallax IKEA shelving unit. I figured out that I can get about 8 of them stacked together in one of the cubbies there, which of course, as you can see, this one can hold 6 figures. And it's 15 by 13. It's just big enough that it gives you a little bit of room to be able to slide it in and out or move it around if you have to. It's not extremely tight. Now, what I'm going to actually be making today is going to be one that is literally half the width. So it's going to be 15 by 7. And we'll have 4 cubbies in it for the action figures I'm going to put in there. I wanted to try out a few different sizes and types, and that one should be able to fit into a IKEA drawer. I think it's the Alex drawers that you can get in the desk and office area there. I'll have some links to these particular products in the description below so you can check them out. Now, the foam core that I am using is actually just from the Dollar Tree. It's like $1.25. You can get a ton of them. I think I worked out like you can spend like $10 and you can basically make enough of these trays at this size with a 2-inch border instead of an 1.5-inch border to fit like 180 action figures if you're going to be storing action figures. Now, in order to cut the foam down, of course, you're going to need a cutting board. I highly recommend that so that way you don't cut into your nice table. You're going to need a straight edge, so either a square or a metal ruler so you can measure out your sizes of your panels. Of course, you're going to need a blade in order to cut that, so a box cutter or a crafting knife is great. Now, I have a blade sharpener, but you may need extra blades because it will dull the blade cutting through this. Of course, you're going to need a pencil to mark out where you're going to be cutting. I have a pencil sharpener just in case we need to sharpen that pencil. And of course, when we go to put it all together, we're going to need hot glue to do that. So you're going to need a hot glue gun and some glue sticks in order to do that. So with that all stated, let's get this all set up and I'll start cutting down the material to the size that we're going to do and build this, and you guys will follow me and I'll let you know what's going on. Again, this tray I'm going to make out of this today is going to be 15 by 7, and the dividers are going to be at 3.5 and 7.5 to make 4 of them. All right, guys, let's get to it. Guys, so before I get started here, the first thing I want to do, just to make sure that I remember to do it, is I'm actually just going to sharpen my knife really quickly here. Just so that way I know when I go to make my first cut, it'll be nice and sharp. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where the dimensions of the base is going to be and then go from there. So again, it's going to be 15 by 7. This piece that I have here was actually what was left over from making the bake tray that I did. You can basically, depending on the size that you're doing, you can get either one really big tray or you can get a bunch of really small trays. It also depends on the height of the tray that you're trying to do as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I know from what I can see here that this is about 14 inches or 15 inches this way and 16 inches this way, so I have more than enough room. I'm going to take a quick look here and see. I have a bit of a little dip there and a bit of a little bit of a damage on the corner of this end. I think I'm going to be fine with that little bit of a dip, so let's just go ahead and measure the areas of where I'm going to be actually cutting this. And what I like to do is actually just flip the square over and get the 15 on this mark. And get the 7 on this mark. And that way I know everything should be lined up roughly where I want them to be. So the next thing to do is go ahead and get this cut down. I will cut straight across the 15 because then I know I have the sides that I can build the 2 sidewalls with, and everything can be cut down from there. Alright, so the next thing to do is go ahead and get that cut. So what I'm doing right now, guys, and you probably can't see, so I'll just move this over here for you. I'm actually just lining the edge here up on the marks that I made on the foam board, just so that way I can make a straight cut across. And when I do my cut, I do it in 3 passes. And that's just so I can cut through the first layer, cut through the foam, and then cut through the second layer. If you have a very sharp blade, then you can probably do it in 2 passes. And the sharper the blade is, the less likely you're going to get any drag marks when you cut through the foam. So I'm actually going to do this one last time just to make sure I got this nice and sharp. And then we can go ahead and cut this. Now what I do is I put it flush against the actual metal edge, and then I just drag through, keeping it on the metal. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So there's that piece. Same thing happens with the 7-inch. And because I just made that cut, I need to go back in and mark. And now we can go ahead and make that cut. Now because this is a square, I like to have the long end on the actual material that I'm cutting, so I have a better or a sturdier cut, nothing's moving around. Alright, so this one should be the 15 by 7, and it matches, it's right. So this is the leftover piece, and this piece happens to be 15 by 7.25. So as you can see, like I said, you could make 2 bases out of this if you want. We're actually gonna, like I said, use this to make the side pieces. And I'm hoping I'll have enough to make the piece in the middle and the divider here as well. If not, I have some extra foam core that we can do that with. Now, I also want to show you guys something real quickly here. When filming from home and having a cat, you sometimes have to give up your seat while doing your craft work. So let's go ahead, I'll do a time lapse so I can show you cutting out the foam from here. I am still debating if I'm going to do 1.5 inches or 2 inches. We'll figure out what we go with. It just depends on how many pieces I can get out of it, depending on the height that we have. Anyway, guys, when I come back, we'll be going ahead and gluing everything together there for us. Alright guys, so as you just seen, I cut out all the pieces I need for the actual slides and the middle dividers. It turned out that that piece, that 15 by 7 3/4 piece that I had left over from when I cut the bottom out was big enough to do 5 1/2 inch thick sides, which gives me the 3 I need, so 2 on each side and the middle one, and of course the 2 ends and the 2 dividers here. Now how that's going to work is that I'm going to put the 2 long sides on first. I'm just waiting for the hot glue gun over here to heat up. And then once I've done that, I've kind of cut the shorter ends that I need for the base here to rough dimension. These are actually 7 inches long. I do realize that when I glue the 2 side ones, that's actually going to shorten up the bottom and the top one. And what I'm actually going to do is I will put this against the bottom here and make a mark of where I need to cut off the extra from, and then I can go ahead and hot glue that in there. What I do is I actually run a bead of hot glue along the bottom, and then on the case of the long ones, it's along the bottom and glue is in. On the case of the short ones, I run a bead along the bottom and then along each side and then glue it in that way so it's nice and strong. What I'll do afterwards, after I get the box shape done, is I'll flip it up on its side and I'll actually glue the corners to make it a little bit stronger. Once I then put the middle divider in, which the middle divider will also have to be cut down to fit in the box, I will glue that in the same way, and then I'll glue the 2 smaller ones in. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video so far. It is a bit longer than I expected, so I'm going to break it down into 2 parts. So please stay tuned for the second part of building this tray. In that particular one, we'll see this being completed.